The arrival of flesh-eaters. The night sky tore apart like fragile glass. From the void of space, monstrous vessels descended, their shadows blotting out the moon and stars. The world had seen invasions before, but never like this. These were not conquerors seeking power. They were hunters, predators driven by hunger so primal it defied imagination. The first ship cracked the atmosphere with a shriek that rattled every window for miles. Its hull was jagged and organic, almost alive, pulsating with a sickly green light. As it settled above the jungle and the nearby city, a horrific hiss echoed through the air, as if the planet itself protested their arrival. Then they emerged, the flesh-eaters. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their bodies were gaunt yet powerful, skin stretched tight over bones with dark veins glowing under the surface. Their mouths stretched unnaturally wide, filled with serrated fangs dripping with saliva. Their eyes burned like pale fire, scanning every movement, every heartbeat. These were not invaders searching for resources or dominance. They had come for flesh. Human flesh. Panic consumed the streets below. People screamed and scattered as the first wave of the flesh-eaters leapt from their ship, landing with sickening thuds that cracked the pavement. They tore through crowds with terrifying speed, ripping apart anyone unfortunate enough to be caught. The sound of their feeding, the tearing of muscle, the crunch of bone, spread like a nightmare across the night. In the chaos, a streak of red and blue cut across the sky. The caped warrior, Earth's greatest defender, had arrived. His eyes glowed with righteous fury as he hovered before the alien horde. "Not while I breathe," he said, his voice steady despite the horror below. For a moment, hope sparked among the terrified survivors. The hero who had faced gods and machines and monsters now stood between Earth and the flesh-eaters. He surged forward with blinding speed, punching through the chest of the first alien, sending its corpse flying into the burning wreckage. Heat vision carved through three more, their screams piercing the night. But these creatures did not fear pain. Maw poured from the ship, surrounding him, their claws raking against his skin. He struck them down, faster than the human eye could follow. Yet for every one that fell, 5 more replaced it. They moved like a swarm, relentless and coordinated. Then came the moment that froze the world. One of the flesh-eaters lunged with terrifying precision, jaws unhinging wider than seemed possible. Its fangs tore into the warrior's shoulder, sinking deep into flesh that had never before been pierced. He cried out in shock, the sound carrying over the battlefield. Others piled on him, claws slashing, teeth biting, tearing. His fists pounded, his eyes blazed, but their hunger only grew. The unthinkable happened. The man of tomorrow, the symbol of hope, was dragged down into the swarm. His cape, once a banner of light, became a shroud beneath their frenzy. They ripped and tore until his cry was silenced, until the body that had shielded Earth countless times lay broken, torn apart by monsters from beyond the stars. The world held its breath. The unshakable defender was gone. The screams of humanity grew louder. If even he could not survive, what hope was left? The flesh-eaters raised their blooded claws to the sky, shrieking in triumph. For them, this was not just a victory. It was a feast. Above, the ship pulsed with new energy. More hatchways opened, releasing hundreds more of the creatures, their numbers blotting out the streets like a living tide. Fire spread through the jungle and the city alike. Towers collapsed under their assault. Humanity's defenses crumbled before they could even organize. And yet, even in the horror, whispers of resistance stayed. Hidden in the shadows, 2 figures watched as the nightmare unfolded. One, a man encased in advanced armor, his eyes flickering with determination despite the devastation. The other, a green titan of fury, his muscles coiled like mountains waiting to explode. They had seen the fall of the greatest. They had heard the cry that silenced hope. And now, they knew. The flesh-eaters were not invincible. They were hungry. They were vicious. But hunger could be met with rage, and rage could ignite a storm. The battle was far from over. The jungle burned, humanity trembled, and the flesh-eaters roared in victory. But beyond the fire and blood, the next chapter was already waiting to be written. Because where one hero fell, others were about to rise. The smoke from the ruined city had barely cleared when the world realized the truth. Their greatest protector was gone. The Cape Warrior, symbol of hope, lay broken and torn apart by the ravenous flesh-eaters. His fall was not just the death of a hero, it was the death of certainty. If he could be consumed, who among them could possibly stand? The flesh-eaters did not stop to celebrate. They fed. Their monstrous forms crouched over the battlefield, ripping apart the remains of those they had caught. Blood stained the cracked streets. Fires painted the night in a haunting glow, while their shrieks echoed like laughter. The mothership above pulsed brighter, as if energized by the carnage below. But the night was not silent for long. From the depths of the destruction, the ground quaked. Heavy footsteps thundered like drumbeats of war. A roar split through the chaos, shaking flames from the ruined towers. The Green Titan had arrived. The Hulk. His eyes burned with fury, his muscles swollen with rage. He looked upon the swarm of flesh-eaters, saw their claws dripping red, their fangs still wet with the blood of the fallen hero. His rage boiled into something primal. He pounded his fists together, the sound reverberating like a cannon blast, and charged. The first wave of flesh-eaters leapt toward him, claws slashing, teeth gnashing. Hulk met them head-on. His fist smashed one into the ground so hard the pavement shattered. Another was grabbed mid-air and torn in half like paper. A third sank its teeth into his arm, but Hulk bellowed, slamming it against the ground until nothing remained but broken bone. But even his fury could not stop the tide. They swarmed him, hundreds at once, claws digging, trying to drag him down. For a moment, even the Titan staggered. That was when the sky lit up with fire. Missiles streaked downward, exploding among the horde. Plasma beams and high-tech artillery cut through the swarm. The sound of repulsors roared through the air as a figure in gleaming armor descended, hovering on thrusters, eyes glowing with determination. Iron Wade had entered the fight. "Guess dinner's cancelled," he muttered through his helmet, unleashing a barrage of rockets into the approaching flesh-eaters. Explosions tore through the night, sending limbs and claws flying. His armor shone against the fires, his weapons burning through wave after wave. Together, Hulk and Iron Wade fought like forces of nature. The Titan ripped apart anything in reach, his fury unstoppable. The armored warrior unleashed precision strikes, technology countering alien savagery. For every alien that swarmed, two fell, smashed by brute strength or shredded by high-tech firepower. Yet the flesh-eaters were endless. For every dozen destroyed, more poured from the mothership. Their hunger seemed infinite. They did not fight for conquest. They fought for meat. The battle raged through the jungle ruins. Hulk grabbed an alien tower that had sprouted from the earth, tearing it from its roots, and swung it like a colossal club, scattering flesh-eaters in every direction. Iron Wade soared overhead, his armor dented and scorched, unleashing beams of energy that carved glowing scars across the battlefield. But even as they fought, the mothership shifted. Its belly split open, revealing a massive creature far larger than the others. The flesh-eater commander. It dropped from the sky with a bone-crushing thud, the ground shaking under its weight. Its frame was monstrous, muscles bulging, fangs longer than swords, claws like scythes. It looked at Hulk and Iron Wade with hungry eyes and let out a roar that shook the air. The swarm fell silent, and then they attacked together. The commander lunged at Hulk, claws clashing with fists. The impact rippled like a shockwave, toppling trees and shattering stone. Hulk grabbed its arm, snarling, and drove his fist into its face, sending teeth flying. But the monster only laughed, blood dripping from its grin. At the same time, Iron Wade unleashed every weapon he had at the commander's back, missiles, lasers, sonic blasts. But its hide was like living armor. Sparks bounced off as if he'd thrown pebbles at a mountain. With one swipe, it backhanded Iron Wade out of the sky, sending him crashing into the ruins below. But the armored warrior rose again. His chute cracked, alarms blaring, but his eyes burned with determination. "You're not eating me tonight," he growled. The fight escalated into chaos. Hulk wrestled the commander like two titans locked in primal war. Iron Wade darted in and out, striking with precision, distracting, cutting down waves of flesh-eaters that tried to join the battle. The air burned with fire and fury, and slowly, against all odds, the tide began to turn. Hulk's rage grew stronger with every wound, every drop of blood. The more they tore at him, the more unstoppable he became. With a final roar, he grabbed the commander by the jaw and slammed it into the ground, shaking the earth itself. Iron Wade, battered but unbroken, charged his final weapon. His chest piece glowed brighter than the fires around them. "Time to end the buffet," he said, unleashing a concentrated beam straight into the commander's skull. The creature shrieked, thrashing, its flesh burning, bones cracking. Hulk tore its limbs apart piece by piece until finally, with one last thunderous blow, the commander lay still. The swarm froze. The mothership above flickered, its glow dimming. For the first time since the invasion began, the flesh-eaters hesitated. And in that hesitation, humanity's defenders roared in victory. The night was not over. The war was not won. But for the first time since the fall of their greatest hero, Earth had hope again. The fall had shaken them, but the fury had begun to rise. The night had been long, but the dawn had not yet come. The city was still burning, the jungle still filled with smoke, and the cries of the flesh-eaters echoed across the ruins. But something had changed. For the first time since their invasion, the monsters hesitated. Their commander, torn apart by the fury of Hulk and the firepower of Iron Wade, lay broken in the date. Their swarm, once unstoppable, now faltered. The mothership above flickered with uncertainty. Its sickly green glow dimmed, its great engine stuttering as if the death of its leader had shaken its core. For a brief moment, silence swept across the battlefield, broken only by the crackling of fire and the labored breaths of two warriors standing amidst the carnage. Hulk stood blooded but unbroken, his fists dripping with the remains of battle. His chest heaved, his roar still rumbling like distant thunder. Beside him, Iron Wade staggered forward, armor dented and scorched, sparks flickering across his damaged systems. Yet his eyes still burned with determination. "This isn't over," he muttered through the static of his helmet. The silence shattered. From the mothership came a roar louder than thunder. Its belly opened, revealing a chamber unlike any seen before. From within emerged the true horror of the invasion, the Alpha Flesh-Eater. It was not just a commander. It was a monstrosity bred for domination. Twice the size of Hulk, its body glistened with armored flesh, veins glowing violet, claws long enough to slice through steel. Its maw stretched wider than any before, rows of fangs dripping with acid. Its arrival sent shockwaves across the ground. The swarm roared in unison. Their hunger had not died. It had only grown. The Alpha pointed its massive claw at the warriors below, and the final battle began. The Flesh-Eaters charged as one, a wave of black and bone tearing across the ruined city. Hulk met them head-on, fists smashing, bones cracking, blood spraying with every blow. He tore through dozens, his rage unending, his roar deafening. Iron Wade soared above, unleashing everything left in his arsenal. Rockets streaked into the swarm, laser beams burned through flesh, and sonic blasts shook the air. But the Alpha came for them. It leapt into the fray, its claws striking Hulk with the force of a meteor. The Titan staggered, blood spraying from deep gashes. Hulk bellowed in pain but answered with a punch so powerful it sent the monster crashing through a burning tower. The building collapsed around it, but from the flames it rose again, roaring with fury. Iron Wade dove in, targeting its chest with a concentrated beam. Sparks flew as the energy seared its hide, but the Alpha barely flinched. With a single swipe, it knocked him from the sky, slamming him into the ground so hard the earth cracked. His chute screamed warnings, systems shutting down, but Wade forced himself up. "No quitting," he hissed, spitting blood inside his helmet. "Not today." Together, they pressed the fight. Hulk locked fists with the Alpha, their clash shaking the ruins. Every strike sent shockwaves through the ground. Iron Wade circled above, striking weak points, cutting down the swarm that threatened to overwhelm them both. Still, the Alpha was relentless. It pinned Hulk to the ground, claws digging into his chest, its jaws opening wide to consume him. Hulk roared, his strength surging beyond pain, grabbing its fangs and forcing its mouth open with sheer power. The monster screamed, its jaws cracking under the strain. "Now, Wade!" Hulk thundered. Iron Wade's suit, cracked and sparking, charged its final weapon. His chest plate glowed brighter than ever before, overloading with unstable energy. He aimed straight at the Alpha's skull. "Bon appetit, you ugly bastard," he growled and fired. The beam struck with devastating force, burning through flesh, bone, and brain. The Alpha shrieked in agony, thrashing violently as its skull split with blinding light. Hulk roared in unison, twisting with all his might, and tore its head free from its shoulders. The battlefield fell silent. The Alpha's corpse hit the ground like a mountain collapsing. The swarm froze, their hunger fading into confusion. The mothership above flickered, lights dying out, engines stalling. And then, one by one, The flesh-eaters collapsed, their connection to their leader severed. The mothership let out a final groan before it imploded in a storm of fire, raining debris across the jungle. The invasion was over. Hulk stood, chest heaving, fists dripping. Iron Wade collapsed to one knee, his armor broken, his body battered, but his spirit unbroken. They looked across the battlefield, where silence finally replaced screams. It was done. The flesh-eaters had been defeated. Humanity had survived. For a moment, the two warriors simply breathed, staring at the ruins of a world scarred forever. Superman was gone, consumed in the first strike. But his sacrifice had not been in vain. His fall had lit the fire that drove Hulk's fury and Iron Wade's courage. The legend of the fallen would remain, but so too would the tale of those who rose when the world needed them most. The final battle was over, but the story of Earth's defenders had only just begun.